Only 6% of respondents said that they were happy with the way that they looked. 88% of women are measuring themselves against something that can never be attained.
In fact, I have a whole collection of hats. I used to cover my face. It was just covering my insecurities.
I have struggled a lot. I spent 5 years of my life strictly inside, not going out.
I gave up living to have a six-pack and hated how I looked. It's body dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia, yes.
There are billions of women passing through similar experiences all around the world, and for whatever reason, we often feel like we're alone. It's time to make a point of discussing these topics from a range of viewpoints. Women in the workplace, fertility, the menopause, women's rights, social media, sexuality, body image, politics, relationships, parenting, age, and women in their role today. These conversations surpass age, race, location. They are relevant to women everywhere. Welcome to the She Word. Conversations that women rarely have, but really should. For those willing to change the world one step at a time. For those dreaming of sustainable living. For those striving to find a healthier balance. For those always believing. Browns and Viridian. Love the planet, love yourself. Welcome to the She Word, conversations that women rarely have but really should. And today's conversation is about a topic that affects almost every single one of us, and that is body image. And today I'm joined by three amazing women who have something to say on this topic. I'm joined by Leaane Bartolo, WFF European Bikini champion, a psychology graduate and primary school teacher who then switched to become a fully qualified fitness instructor and certified TRX instructor and the founder of Warehouse. Also, Rebecca Camilleri, founder of Much Abunch. A foodie and fitness lover, but also outspoken about her journey through eating disorders and related depression. And Sarah, Sassa Gal, a powerful influencer and psychology graduate who's used her platform to share her message of self-love, no matter what size, and her journey to fitness. Ladies, thank you so much for being with me for this incredible conversation that we're going to be having this afternoon. Before I come to you, I want to start off by just throwing out some statistics that I prepared for this show. Because women and body image has been an issue for millennia. Women have been around worrying about what they look like for as long as women have been on the planet. But today the pressures are more than we would have expected. So we're going to start off this conversation by just looking at some statistics from a survey this year from Good Housekeeping from 5,000 women asked. And 80% of those respondents had said that they'd been on a diet with the purpose, at least in part, to change their weight or shape. 80%. Meanwhile, only 6% of respondents said that they were happy with the way that they looked. 17% of people asked said they'd be willing to shave off a year of their life for the perfect body. 11% said they would give up sex in exchange for their ideal figure. 25% would trade an entire category of food or another for that perfect physique. 13% would give up the chance to travel. 74% said they have good food, bad food lists in their head. 60% of respondents said that the way they feel about themselves is largely influenced by their weight, shape, or size. And 88% of women compare themselves to images they observe on social media, with over half of them emphasizing that their comparison is unfavorable. And this is why we're having this conversation today, because this is 88% of women are measuring themselves against something that can never be attained. Leanne, you're probably the most unlikely person that we'd be having this conversation with, because perception would say that you are incredibly happy with the way that you look. You're a fitness trainer. You're a WFF Bikini champion. You stand on a stage wearing a very small and beautiful bikini. So why is this topic relevant to you?
It is relevant to me for so many reasons. People don't know the reason behind Leanne being on stage. People don't know what made me decide, or what was the encouragement behind it, and what led me to do the competitions and then of eventually becoming a pro athlete. This was never in my plans. I was always an insecure kid myself, coming from quite a big family. I was used to, and always okay with being second, with not having things my way. You become used to it. And little I knew that it was affecting me for the long term, because now as an adult, I'm still okay with being second. I'm still okay with not having things my way. I was going through not a rough patch, I would say, but I had approached a psychologist myself, and she was the one to encourage me to do something daring. I was very, very insecure, especially when it came to guys, and if, let's say, there would be a guy I liked, I wouldn't even have eye contact. I was so insecure.
You're serious?
Very serious. Way back I had acne problems. I was very, very conscious. In fact, I have a whole collection of hats. I used to cover my face. Whoever remembers me from the gym, they used to call me like Zaira, because I never used to say a word. I used to smile to everyone, and I still do, but it was just covering my insecurities. Then after this psychologist had suggested that I do something daring, it still took me a while to decide, and I had chosen a fitness shoot. And from the fitness shoot, then I found another person who had really encouraged me to start competing. At first, I didn't quite get it. I thought it was a sport, as in a normal gym competition. And after just a couple of weeks, I found myself on stage wearing heels, a tiny bikini.
But you went from not feeling confident and being challenged.
I was
to the
shaking.
extreme.
I went to the extreme, but if I must be very honest, I didn't know what I was getting myself into. So I'm going to be very honest. It's not that I was brave. I just didn't understand until I was on stage.
Oh, wow.
Yes. But then once I was on stage, I didn't expect to win either. In fact, I was already happy eating my sweets after the competition, because we have to hold back from certain treats when you have such a competition. There's quite a strict eating regime that you have to follow. I didn't know that I had to go back on stage. And then they called me back on stage, and that was a long story. Then once I realized that, listen, all right, I won. This is amazing. Not for my boyfriend, because for him it was a disaster. More healthy food in the house, more sacrifice, more hassle for him. But I decided to step it up, and then if I get myself into something, once I know what I'm doing, I wanted to do it the right way. So I represented Malta just after a month. And then there was no going back, and I just enjoyed the process. Am I very confident as a person? I still have my insecurities. We were chatting before we actually started this podcast, and we were saying how at times it only takes a quiet day at work for you to start questioning everything you do. This is still insecurity, or it may be not about the body image. I personally tend to compare myself to how I look on stage. At times I forget that it's a bit unrealistic as well, because you spend a number of weeks training hard, eating very specific food to look in a certain way for a few seconds on stage. But in reality, that's not sustainable. So even I tend to forget that, even though I am a professional at this and I lead others and I encourage others. We are all humans. We all have hormones. So there are days or weeks when we forget about what our role is. You can be a doctor, you can be a psychologist, you can be a trainer, and you are you at the end of with our insecurity. So it gets to us as well at times.
Well, you also studied this topic, and we're going to come to that in a little bit, because as I mentioned as we opened, this does affect pretty much every single woman on the planet. Everybody has some insecurities about something, one part of their body, one part of their image. And we're going to come back to your studies as well, because you've taken it very seriously. But I want to just say hi, Sarah. Hello, because you have really been very outspoken about body image and loving yourself through social media. You have a social media following, and you've used that platform really to share the love. But how challenging has that been? Where have you come from on this topic with regards to body image and how you feel about yourself?
So actually I started Instagram as a form of diary, let's say. I didn't really have a goal in mind of actually doing it full time and actually using it to promote self-love at the beginning. It was sort of like a diary for myself. I have struggled a lot with body image, consequently depression as well. I spent 5 years of my life strictly inside, not going out. My mom helped me a lot with this process. Like, I feel like she was the reason that I am the person today. And
it's just to recap that, you're saying that you had an issue where you weren't leaving the house.
Yes, I actually struggled a lot. I was about 13 years of age when all of this started. It was triggered by multiple things, really. But I remember vividly the most thing that was a challenge for me was my body image. Comments that I received from peers and parents, anyone really. And at that age as well, I think it's such a tender age that you are in. If you do not have a strong character, it is very, very, very easy to go downwards and not actually build yourself up. But those comments that you receive will drag you even more so downwards. So it has 5 years have passed till I was around 18 years, and I started, getting back on my feet. I talked as well with a lot of psychologists, counselors at school. As I said, my mom, she's my rock. And I actually did a short modeling course. It was weird because, again, it's something that I didn't think I was going to do, but I did it. It was only like for a month or 2 months, I think. And so I did that course. I didn't think I was going to work with brands or be a model by any means, just to gain confidence, finding myself. And after that...
Where did that idea come from, though? Because you've gone from...
The modeling course, my mom.
Your mom sounds like a rock. She sounds like an amazing woman. Because you've gone from not wanting to leave the house through modeling to where you are now.
It was a big challenge. I mean, I did 5 years.
It sounds like your challenge.
Fact.
It was a very huge challenge because my mom used to literally not fight with me, but she
challenge you.
Yeah, she challenges me and tells me, you did this time in your room, you can't spend any more time now. Like, it's time to get up, get changed, let's go for a walk, let's go to bed. And I used to dread it so badly. It really was a struggle. But at the end of the day, after 4 years, I don't know how much, I finally started doing improvement because I wanted to for myself. At the beginning, I was a nightmare because I didn't want to do anything, and my mom never gave up. And then there was a shift that I started doing improvement because she was helping me. And I was saying, hey, if she's spending so much time helping me, I need to help myself because it's not fair for her,
But that's quite a mature process, a thought process to go through to be able to say, okay, now, and particularly when you're talking about being still in the teens, because teens is such a vulnerable stage, and you're talking about being 13 years old.
14.
Yeah. And that's a difficult time for all teens. Coming to you, Rebecca, your story is not that dissimilar. You have had your own journey. What's your journey?
So my journey started around 7 years ago. I was unhappy with my body, so I joined the gym, got a personal trainer, and that decision changed my life in a very positive way and in a very negative way. So let's start from the positive, shall we?
Okay, yeah. Wow, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So when I started the gym, I was on a meal plan. So I had to learn how to cook. I had to learn how to make my snacks. And I wasn't finding snacks to buy. So I started making my own food, and I used to take them to work. I worked at an office job. So I used to share with my colleagues, and they used to give me feedback, and I used to go back the next week with something better. And they encouraged me to start selling them. They wanted to buy them from me. So I said, why not? So I invented a couple of recipes, came up with the name Much Abunch, and I launched my brand. And a couple of months later, I think around 7 months, I was too busy and I left my job. I wasn't keeping up with orders, so I left my full-time job, and 4 years later, I'm here doing it full-time. And 2 years ago, my girlfriend Sam left her job, so she's full-time with me to help
fantastic.
me
Okay,
take Much Abunch to the next level. So that's the positive side of starting my whole fitness journey. The negative side was that obviously I took it very seriously. So when I really wanted to lose weight. So I, like you said, I had everything to the books. I ate the way I was told to eat. So I obviously lost weight. And when you start seeing results, people start seeing results, and you start getting compliments, and you get addicted. So I got addicted to working out. I got addicted to eating less every day. So if today I ate this much, the next day I removed that snack, and it became so addicting that it literally took over my whole life. And the statistics you said, I gave up my friends, I gave up my family, I gave up living to have a six-pack, to have a certain figure that is not sustainable, because I literally didn't live for 2 years. It got so bad that you mentioned I had depression. I was very, very bad. It controlled my life, and it's not easy coming back from it, but it's a journey that it's not a race. That is what I need to remind myself, that I will take my own time. I will never compare my journey to someone else's, because when I try to rush things and I try to quick fix things, I took 10 steps back. So it's all about baby steps, whatever I'm comfortable with, to reach the final goal.
And you're talking about taking your body image to an extreme where it is impacting on you and your lifestyle in every single detail, every single part of your life. You're talking about you're striving for the perfect body. To have that perfect body is way far beyond just, what you eat and your diet plan. It's every single part. As you were talking, Sarah over here I can hear her in the side saying yes, because you're sharing those thoughts, right?
Yes, for sure, completely. I mean, I believe it was very hard for you, going what you went through. But I feel like balance is very hard to maintain in life, not just with food, it's with anything. I tend to do so myself when I start working on something. For example, I either work on it 100%, like we were talking about before, or not at all.
So you're talking about a compulsive attitude towards a goal, and that's exactly what you're reflecting. You're saying that your passion, your desire to be perfect became compulsive, became addictive. Is this what we see? Is this what, Leanne?
There's a fine line, and that fine line can easily be skipped. You can easily skip that fine line, but if you're careful and with a lot of good coaching, that's why the coach's role is very, very important. As she said, some clients are ready to do whatever I tell them. They're ready to walk in doing a handstand if need be. But obviously then it's up to the coach not to abuse of that trust. Because you have clients approaching you because they trust you. And how do they trust you? Very often they trust you just based on what they see on social media. But unfortunately, how real are we on social media? You know, how real is social media? How real is what we see as ideal on social media? So then yes, as a coach, now I'm speaking as a coach, it's important not to abuse of that trust and to take notice of when things start becoming compulsive. There are signs. I start noticing some clients. I have a particular client, and we're still working hard on this. She keeps a file, and she records every single, she puts down every single food item that goes in her mouth, and she has a whole Excel sheet printed out, and she would know exactly the calories. For me, that's compulsive. She weighs herself every day, so that's another challenge of ours. We're trying to move away from that, and the constant recording of everything as well. In her case, it's the file. Some others are obsessed with statistics watch. We have to get to make good use of the tools that we have, because they are amazing tools, and there's a lot of help on social media, on the internet, but we have to learn, and I think it's a skill. And now I talk as a teacher. It's a skill that we need to teach young kids from a young age, before they get into their teens phase, because it's a skill that we need to learn. I don't think
teach them what?
Teach them to be assertive. We learn. We have PSD at school now. We call it PSHE. We have PSHE now. It changed. We have quite a few interesting topics that we cover and we learn at school. But I don't think that we learn enough how to be assertive, how to select what we see as truth, not whatever we see on the movies.
Discern what is good and what is bad
from what we're seeing. This can...
But this is where you're suggesting this is where body image challenges is coming from. It's not being able to discern what is good and what is bad.
What is bad. In fact, this leads me to my dissertation. Since I studied psychology, I had done my dissertation. The topic was body dysmorphia, plastic surgery and body dysmorphia. And I had focused on 15 women, 15 homemakers, 15 sportswomen, 15 fashion women. My expectations would be, what would your expectations be, True?
Well, I'm assuming that anybody that's really making an effort, like sports, a sports person will probably be more or less happy with their body. But somebody who's in the fashion industry, somebody who's standing on a stage like you've had to, and somebody also who puts themselves out across social media would be very unhappy with the way they look, or be very challenged by the way they look.
In fact, it was the results were shocking to me, as Leanne, because there was a higher percentage of homemakers willing to do anything. You know, you were mentioning percentages earlier on. All the reasons you were mentioning, they were ready to go for it just to look better. And then we found out that it is because they spend more hours in front of their TV, social media, television, soap operas. They really relate, and they want to copy that life that they see in soap operas. And they were mentioning some, the famous Beautiful and Friends, and they all want to have that lifestyle. But how attainable is it? How realistic is it to have that lifestyle? And that is what I believe in these days, especially now that TikTok has taken over, that Instagram has taken over. We have young girls, I call them girls, women, who are constantly unhappy with what they have. They forget about their blessings. They forget that it's a blessing just to be healthy.
Well, Leanne, because you just said something. I want to come back to you, Rebecca, because you talked about working so hard at the expense of everything else to have this figure. When you had this figure, I mean, you are extremely beautiful, but when you were at that point that you had given up everything for that figure, for that body image that you were attaining, were you satisfied?
I was still very unhappy. I had the body.
But you didn't look in the mirror and go, okay, that's what I wanted, and now I'm there.
Unfortunately, when I had six-pack and I was very skinny, and that was the body I wanted, I guess, at that time, I still looked at myself in the mirror, thought I was big, and hated how I looked. It's body dysmorphia.
Body dysmorphia, yes.
So this body dysmorphia, if anybody doesn't know, what does that mean?
So basically, let's say I want to get a boob job because, it's not a secret that I wasn't very gifted. And let's say I get it done. I'm happy for a couple of months. Then all of a sudden my thought starts shifting on something else. Oh no, I don't like my nose anymore. And then I want to fix my nose. And then I want six-packs. I want a six-pack, sorry. And then all of a sudden I get a six-pack. But you're never happy because it's psychological. And if you're not okay psychologically, you can never be fully happy. And that is the problem.
I agree. Mm-hmm.
Well, let me ask you, Sarah, because you have been out on socials, you have a wonderful following, but you're very outspoken visually as well about this is me.
Yes. I cannot say that I love myself on the same level every day. I'm not obsessed with myself. I mean, why not? We should all be. But on the bad days, right now where I'm currently at, for example, around a few weeks ago, I just started again my fitness journey, and I'm taking this process and enjoying the process and stuff like that. But on my bad days, if we want to call it that, I like to practice mindfulness, honestly. It's not just how I look. I forget I have, not the perfect round butt or the perfect figure. I don't know what the trend is right now.
Peachy butt.
What, Leanne? What is
peach
that?
butt.
A peach butt. Okay.
The body trends, honestly, will always be there. Will always be there. So they will just go on and go on. Just marketing at the end of the day. It's a business. But what really helps me is being mindful of what my body is capable of doing and what it have passed through as well. And at the end of the day, I feel like that is love, acknowledging what I did so far. Even embarking on this fitness journey, I think that is a form of self-love as well, because I'm taking care of it much more, and eating correctly as well. But yes, on my bad days, I just like to be neutral. Although maybe there are worse of days, I still try to get back to that thought process of, look, you have went through this, and this, and it's amazing.
New Max Stack Mascara. Stack.
I was going to say, that's a massive leap from locking yourself in your room and not leaving the house. That where you're at now, and that's what amazed me, because when you started saying about that was where you started from, I think that all of us around the table are like, wow, because you are out there. You put yourself out there. You are preaching and teaching this self-love. And whether you have a bad day or not, that message is consistent, and you are stepping up and saying, this is me, this is what I look like, this is what I'm in love with, and this is what I'm doing. Now, I want to come back to you in a second, but I'm going to come back to you, Rebecca, because you're smiling now, and it sounds to me as if that passage that you've gone through is in the past. And not only that, but your business is focused around food. So you almost are kind of living in a minefield, bearing in mind your past. How did you manage to get yourself out of that point where you were still unhappy with your body, even though it was what you had aspired to, you were bang on where you wanted to be, and still unhappy and at the expense of everything else? How did you get to where you are now?
So I met my girlfriend Sam when I was passing through it all. So I think meeting her was a big, huge step in my life to get better. She helped me get better. She really helped me get better, full stop, because I needed to start living again. I had a purpose now. I had my business growing. I met Sam. I wanted to build back the relationship with my family. I wanted to meet friends again. My normal self is bubbly and chatty and loves going out, and I lost all of that. My friends literally didn't know what happened to me for 2 years. Like she said, I logged myself in and wanted to be around no one, and not even myself some days. So I realized that I need to start living again, and I can't let my eating disorder control me, but I need to get control of it now. So
was there a moment, was there like sort of something, a penny dropped and you just went, okay, enough is enough? Or was it a duration? Was it a process?
I've had a lot of this is enough. I need to start living, but unfortunately I go back to my old ways, and it's hard getting back up and going back. But you need to say, I'm gonna try again. This time I'm gonna make it work. So I think you need to keep trying until you finally realize that, okay, it's been a week, life is coming back to normal, and then it's a month, and then it's a year, and I'm here now. So I've still got a long way to go, but I look back and I realize how far I've come. And finally, I feel like I'm breathing again and living and saying yes more to meeting friends. So it feels good to finally.
It's another milestone.
It's amazing.
And you talked about the sort of, you talked about there, Leanne, about milestones, just shortening those milestones, shortening those goals. Okay, this week is a good week. We got past this day, we've got past here. And like, as you were saying, just making those milestones of
Yes.
bringing them back and making them attainable. Now, I want to ask you something, Sarah, because your story is different, and you have, as I keep saying, you go out on your socials and you're very, love me, I love me, that's my goal, love yourself and be positive about yourself. And that's an incredibly positive message. Is the response always positive?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, I know a lot of people reach out to me. They send me messages like, thank you, you're making me feel a bit better. And I receive stories from people. But at the same time, where there is good, there is bad. And there are people who do not like the message I share as well. For example, a lot of people may think that self-love means that you are complacent. You don't want to progress. I don't agree at all. A favorite saying that I like to say is, positive change cannot stem from a negative place. So I don't understand why some people think in order for me to be a better version of myself, I need to hate the version that I am now. No, that's not going to happen. If I'm not happy with myself right now, I'm not going to be happy with myself like your experience when I will get the six-pack or... So I need to be happy with myself right now, and that self-love will fuel a positive outcome. That is how I believe it 100%. Apart from that, it's very odd, especially on social media. Right now, I'm documenting my fitness journey. Sorry, I hit it.
You're okay, Sarah.
Very passionate. And right now I'm documenting my fitness journey, and it is very weird, I think, for people to see a bigger girl actually documenting working out and actually enjoying the process. I think we are so conditioned in seeing these TV shows of people struggling when they're overweight and not actually wanting to do that, going that extra mile. But I do believe that there are people who are different body shapes, types and sizes, not necessarily overweight, even underweight, and they are enjoying the process because they are actually in a good place and want to be a better version of themselves. So maybe some people don't understand that it's okay to love yourself in order to be better, not necessarily hate.
Does that ring true, Leanne?
Yes, I agree fully with her that you need to love yourself now as you are. A few kilos less are not going to make you a better person. A bigger size is not going to make me a better Leanne in reality. We have to accept the fact that, listen, this is who I am. And I ought to respect myself for who I am and for what I can give to the ones around me.
But I'm going to throw a challenge at you, Leanne, because you are a WFF Bikini European champion. Is it not easy for you to say that? For the rest of us who have got like maybe a little bit of a slightly large butt or something that we really would be rather to do without, how easy is that? I mean, you say
people assume that it's easier. It could be that, yes, that maybe it gave me a little bit more confidence, but I'm still the same Leanne. I'm still shy to walk in a bikini at the beach. People who know me know, and they tell me, "Are you for real?" But not because I'm not confident, but it's who I am. I was always like this, so I am still shy, and I still have my insecurities. I just love looking strong more than looking skinny. So yes, the competition side of it has given me a boost. Psychologically, but more than for the physical part and for the looks, because let's face it, when we get a touch of makeup, when we get our hair done, we all look lovely. Everyone looks lovely. But I think it has given me a boost in the sense that, listen, I know that if I not discipline myself, it doesn't sound right, but if I put my mind to something and I work hard for that something, it's attainable. That's it. And the fact that I know that I could do that, which was something extreme to me, I can do the same with anything else in life. So yes, maybe some people think, but no, you're a fitness instructor, you look beautiful, you look this, you look that. Yes, but we still have our own insecurities.
And I mean, this is very artificial thinking of feeling good in ourselves, because looks aren't the same. Like throughout the years, we change, we age, get wrinkles, so it does not matter how we look like right now per se.
Well,
because we will develop.
I would say that probably Rebecca's the biggest testament of that. You were looking as perfect as you could have looked. You'd put everything into it and you still were not happy.
Again, because people assume that I have abs all year round, or that just because I'm the champion, the European champion, I shouldn't have any insecurities. But no, in reality, it's all in here. It's all psychological. And even psychologically, you're stressed, and stress affects our hormones. What we eat affects our hormones. So it's a whole complicated, holistic approach. It's not just the looks. The looks is the tip of the iceberg, literally. There's much, much, much more to that. What I do, I am a bit more confident because I've studied, I've tried to understand self-worth, self-love, and I found that to be the key to someone's success.
Okay, so I'm going to pull you up on that, and I'm going to pull you up on this as well, Sarah, because we're saying that self-love and self-acceptance is the way for us to be happy. And certainly from your example, Rebecca, getting to that perfect position is not what makes you happy. But how do we go from where we are as a female race of 80% being unhappy with who they are to loving? Where does that step to self-love come from? How do you take that step? Because I'm quite sure there's a lot of people, maybe perhaps in the same position as you. They've strived, they've done it, they're still not happy. Or like you, they're now still embarking on a new journey. But where does that self-love come from?
I would start from awareness. Again, making people aware that what they're seeing on social media is not always real.
I think more than not always real, it's rarely real. 85% of women filter and adjust their images.
In fact, for me, one of the steps I took was unfollowing any profile that made me feel insecure. I do
that as well. It helps a lot.
I couldn't keep seeing these photos where I was comparing myself every day and wishing I had her body. So I just unfollowed anyone that triggered me into eating less or over-exercising. And that really helped. Because what you feed your brain every day is...
The less you see, the better.
I mean,
then you can do it for you. Finally, you can do it for you, not to look like her.
For sure.
Not to be as popular as her. You do it for you.
Even if you follow someone else's diet to the T, you will not look like them. I've followed every diet possible. I've tried everything to get abs and to have the perfect body that I once thought was the perfect body, because let's be honest, the perfect body now is a body where a happy person lives. Someone that's healthy, someone that's strong, that is the perfect body to me now. I came to realize finally that the perfect body is not abs. Like, I'm sure we all thought that at least, but the perfect body is strength and health.
You just said a beautiful, absolutely beautiful nugget. The perfect body is where a happy person lives. And I think that is a really good place for us all to aim for. So I'm going to start with you, Sarah, to close. I'm going to come round and ask, if the perfect body is where a happy person lives, how has that become a reality in your life?
Well, I guess I'm realistic with myself. When I have those bad days, I admit them to myself, and that's perfectly fine. There's no reason to say, no, I'm okay, or be in denial. I mean, if we're in denial, we cannot progress that way. And also, I guess, loving the process, loving life. I know that life is not going to be the same consistently. It's constant hurdles, and just being honest with myself and be happy.
And you also, part of your journey to be happy is because when Rebecca said about unfollowing, you were like, yes, on social stuff, unfollowing.
I wanted to speak about that, because it's basically the same analogy as not keeping the people that are not providing benefit to you in life. I mean, social media has become sort of like our virtual life. I mean, probably we spend so much time on it, more so than in real life sometimes, especially if like our job is online, you know. So if the people you have in your life or the ones that you are following on social media are not beneficial towards you, why keep them around? I mean, we have to pick and choose, always be kind, share positiveness, but at the end of the day, it's you that there is for you, and you need to make those choices. So yes, I totally agree with that.
Leanne?
I agree with both. What I would add, and this is what I try to pass on to my clients as well and to all those around me, is to focus on the little wins. It's another way of being realistic rather than aiming for something huge. I focus on the little wins, and every day I try to celebrate a little win. And I also try to do a good deed a day. Now, at times that good deed would be you give a free drink, mind you, not a free Powerade to someone. I try to do a good deed a day, and it makes me happy as well. And funnily enough, that makes me happier than having the ideal image. you know. So I focus on the good, on the little wins in life, because I found throughout the years that I was just being too hard on myself. I was assuming that just because I had pimples, I should be ashamed of myself, or you know. So I focus on the little wins, and I have this thing that I have decided myself: at least one good deed a day, and it makes you really happy. It makes your heart full.
I feel like that's more holistic happiness rather than just appearance-wise. You know, we're talking about doing good deeds, helping
You're talking
others.
about adjusting the focus away from body image and looking and focusing on something else.
It's everything.
For you, I'm going to finish with you, Rebecca, because you've shared this whole idea of your journey, this whole story of your journey, and you've just mentioned this whole thing about the perfect body is where the happy person lives. How would you suggest somebody aims for that goal, to be perfectly happy in their body?
I think what worked for me was focusing on what my body can do rather what I hate in my body. So for example, I hate my stretch marks. It's something that will stay there till the end. So rather I'm focusing on, okay, those stretch marks on my legs. I can leg press twice my body weight. I focus on what my body can actually do rather than things I can't change. And that really helped me with self-acceptance.
Ladies, I really hope that this conversation has a positive, and I know that it will, a positive outcome for lots and lots of people who are listening to this. And thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing your knowledge. And thank you for sharing your in-depth story as well. I have a feeling we're going to be doing a show very much like this again. I'm going to invite you back. We'll talk more about this. But for now, thank you very, very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
My morning starts here with an experience that's unforgettable. A precise roast and a generous crema. Taste the unforgettable espresso.